Admiral Jake Morrison walked through the long hallway of Council Station. His black uniform was clean and pressed, but his face showed the weight of many years fighting for the galaxy. The walls around him were made of some alien metal that glowed. With soft blue light, their species walked past him, some tall and thin, others short and covered in fur. None of them looked at him directly. Jake had been coming to this place for 10 years now. Every time he hoped things would be different. Every time he left feeling more tired than when he arrived. Today felt worse than usual. The Great Council Chamber was huge.
Yes.
It could hold representatives from over 300 different species. Jake took his place in the human section, which was much smaller than most others. Only 12 humans were allowed to speak for all of humanity. While some species had 50 or more representatives, Ambassador Lisa Carter sat next to him. She was younger than Jake, but her brown hair already showed gray streaks. The stress of dealing with the council was hard on everyone. She nodded at Jake when he sat down. "Any word from the outer colonies?" she asked quietly. Jake shook his head. "Still waiting? The Kalari situation is getting worse every day. We need to move our ships there soon, or there won't be anyone left to save." Lisa's face became sad. The Kalari were a peaceful people who looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin. They had been attacked by raiders 3 months ago. Their cities were burning, and their people were dying. Human ships were the only ones close enough to help. But the council kept delaying the vote to send aid. The chamber filled with noise as more representatives arrived. The Zephyrians came in with their usual show of power. They were tall beings with blue skin and no hair. Their leader, High Counselor Vexstar, wore robes that seemed to change color as he moved. He never looked at the human section, but Jake knew the alien was always watching them. "All rise for the High Council," a voice said over the speakers. Everyone stood up as 5 beings walked onto the raised platform at the front of the chamber. These were the most powerful members of the council. They made the big decisions that affected billions of lives across the galaxy. The meeting began with small matters. Trade disputes between the Rigelian merchants and the vegan farmers. A border disagreement between 2 species Jake had never heard of. He tried to pay attention, but his mind kept going back to the reports from Kalari space. Every hour they waited, more innocent people died. Finally, Vexstar stood up. "The council will now hear evidence regarding recent human military actions." In the Outer Rim, Jake felt his heart sink. This was not about helping the Kalari. This was about blaming humans for doing their job. Vexstar activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Images appeared showing human warships firing on other vessels. The pictures looked bad, but Jake knew they did not tell the whole story. "These images show human forces attacking peaceful vessels," Vexstar said. His voice was smooth and cold. "The humans claimed they were stopping raiders, but we have evidence that they fired first." Lisa stood up. "Those ships were attacking Kalari civilians. We have recordings of their communications. They were planning to destroy an entire city." "So you claim," Vexstar replied. "But humans have shown aggression before. They solve every problem with violence. Perhaps it is time to question whether they can be trusted with military power." Jake wanted to jump up and shout. For 70 years, humans had fought and died to protect other species. They had stopped wars, saved planets, and kept the peace in the darkest corners of the galaxy. Now they were being called the problem. Other representatives began to speak. The Andromedan delegate talked about human ships being too powerful. The Centauri representative complained that humans always wanted to fight instead of talk. One by one, species that humans had saved from destruction spoke against them. Lisa tried to defend her people. She showed records of human ships saving alien colonies. She played recordings of grateful alien leaders thanking human soldiers. She presented evidence of human medical teams treating alien wounded. But the council did not want to listen. The vote came quickly. 312 species voted to limit human military operations. Only 18 voted against the measure. The humans and a few loyal allies were completely outnumbered. But the council was not finished. Vexstar stood again, his blue face showing what might have been satisfaction. The council also votes to suspend human voting rights pending a full investigation into human military conduct. This investigation may take several years to complete. The chamber erupted in noise. Some species cheered. Others looked uncomfortable. The few human allies seemed shocked. Lisa Carter sat down hard, her face pale. Jake felt something break inside him. They had taken away humanity's voice in the council. They had made humans into second-class citizens in the galaxy they had helped to protect. After everything humans had done, after all the lives they had saved, this was their reward. He stood up slowly and walked out of the chamber. Behind him, he could hear the council moving on to other business, as if nothing important had happened, as if they had not just thrown away their most loyal defenders. In the hallway, Jake pulled out his communication device. The small screen showed the face of Captain Ryan Brooks, one of his best ship commanders. "Ryan, this is Admiral Morrison. Send out Code 7 to all human vessels." "Code 7, sir? Are you sure?" "I'm sure. All human ships are to cease current operations and return to human space immediately. No exceptions." There was a pause. "About the colliery, sir? They're still under attack?" Jake closed his eyes. This was the hardest part. "They made their choice, Ryan. The council thinks they can handle things without us. Let them try." He ended the call and looked back at the council chamber. Through the doorway, he could see the representatives still talking and arguing, making decisions that would affect billions of lives. But now they would have to live with those decisions without human help. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to live without humanity's protection. Jake only hoped they would survive the lesson. Captain Ryan Brooks stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Dakota, staring at the message on his screen. Code 7 meant only one thing: come home now. He had served in the human fleet for 20 years, and he had never seen this order before. Around him, his crew worked at their stations. Lieutenant Amy Chen was monitoring alien communications. Sergeant Tom Rodriguez was checking weapon systems. They all looked confused by the sudden change in orders. Captain Amy said, turning in her chair, "I'm getting strange signals from the alien ships. They sound worried." Ryan nodded. "Put it on speakers." The bridge filled with alien voices speaking in different languages. The ship's computer translated most of them. Zephyrian patrol ships. "We're asking why human vessels were leaving their patrol routes. Andromedon freighters wanted to know if their human escorts were still protecting them." Kalari distress signal kept repeating, begging for human ships to return. "Sir," Tom said quietly, "are we really abandoning them?" Ryan looked at the tactical display. Red dots showed where human ships were located across the galaxy. As he watched, the dots began moving toward the center of the map, toward Earth and the human colonies. Ships that had been protecting trade routes for decades were suddenly leaving their posts. "We have our orders," Ryan said. Said it, he felt sick. The Dakota had been guarding the shipping lanes near Proxima for 5 years. Without human protection, pirates would attack every merchant ship in the area within a week. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. Maximum speed. The ship turned and jumped into hyperspace, leaving the Proxima system undefended for the first time in 30 years. On the colony world of New Geneva, Governor Helen Martinez was having the worst day of her career. Office was filled with angry colonists who had just heard the news from Council Station. The room buzzed with shouting voices. "They did what?" demanded Mayor Jack Sullivan from the mining town of New Pittsburgh. He was a big man with thick arms from years of working in the mines. "They took away our right to vote? That's what the report says," Helen replied. She was tired, and her voice showed it. The council voted to suspend all human voting rights, pending an investigation. "Investigation into what?" asked Dr. Linda Park, who ran the main hospital in New Geneva City. "We've been saving alien lives for 70 years. What's there to investigate?" Helen pulled up the official council statement on her wall screen. "They say we're too aggressive, too quick to use violence. They want to study our behavior before deciding if we can be trusted." The room exploded in angry voices. These people had come to the outer colonies to build new lives. Many of them had fought in wars to protect alien worlds. Now they were being treated like dangerous animals. "Well, I say we're done with them," shouted Carol White, who owned the largest farm on the planet. We never needed the council anyway. We grow our own food, mine our own metals, and defend our own space. Let them handle their own problems." Others in the room nodded agreement. The outer colonies had always been more independent than Earth. They had to be. When pirates attacked or disasters struck, help from Earth took weeks to arrive. The colonists had learned to take care of themselves. Helen stood up, and the room became quiet. She was not a tall woman, but she had led New Geneva through 3 major crises. People respected her. "I'm calling an emergency meeting of all colonial governors," she said. "As of today, the outer colonies no longer recognize Federation authority over human affairs. We'll make our own decisions about trade, defense, and diplomacy." The room erupted in cheers. For the first time since the news had arrived, people were smiling. On Earth. President Paul Henderson sat in his office looking out at the lights of New York City. His advisors filled the room, all talking at once about the crisis. Secretary of Defense Betty Morrison was explaining how human fleets were already moving back toward Earth. Secretary of State Kevin Liu was reading reports from human embassies across the galaxy. "Sir," Kevin said, "our diplomatic staff are being asked to leave Federation worlds. Some of them are being escorted out by security forces." Paul rubbed his forehead. The headache had been building all day. "How many ships are we bringing back?" "Over 2,000, Betty replied. "Everything from small patrol boats to heavy cruisers. The largest military withdrawal in galactic history." "And the economic impact?" Treasury Secretary Mike Davis looked at his tablet. "Human shipping companies handle about 40% of all galactic trade. Our banks process most of the major transactions between species. If we pull out completely, the galactic economy will collapse within months." Paul stood up and walked to the window. Below him, the city continued its normal routine. People walked the streets, cars moved through traffic, and life went on. But everything was about to change. "Get me a direct line to all human worlds," he said. "I'm making a speech tonight." 2 hours later, Paul Henderson stood before the cameras in the presidential broadcast room. His words were being transmitted to every human colony, every human ship, and every human outpost in the galaxy. Alien intelligence services were also listening, though he did not care anymore. "My fellow humans," he began, "today the Galactic Federation voted to treat us as second-class citizens. They have taken away our voice in the council that governs our galaxy. They have questioned our loyalty, despite 70 years of faithful service." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Therefore, effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Federation. All trade agreements are canceled. All military cooperation is ended. All human worlds are now closed to non-human vessels unless they have special permission." Across human space, people stopped what they were doing to watch their president's speech. On ships returning from the outer galaxy, crews gathered around, screens to listen. "We did not ask to be the galaxy's protectors," Paul continued. "But we accepted that role when others could not, or would not. We saved worlds, stopped wars, and kept the peace. Our reward was suspicion and ingratitude." His voice became stronger. "Now, they will learn what the galaxy looks like without human protection. They will discover what trade looks like without human merchants. They will find out what peace costs when humans are not there to pay the price." The speech ended, but its effects were immediate. Across the galaxy, alien governments scrambled to understand what had just happened. For the first time in 70 years, humanity had said no to the galaxy. The exodus had begun. 3 months had passed since President Henderson's speech, and the galaxy was falling apart. Commander Zekton of the Corvan Empire stood on the bridge of his warship, the Death's Edge, watching his fleet destroy another Federation outpost. Small Station had tried to surrender, but Zekton was not interested in prisoners. The Corvans had waited decades for this moment. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the station is destroyed. No survivors." Zekton smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Corvans looked like giant lizards with thick armor plating instead of skin. They were born warriors, and they had been held back by human fleets for too long. "Excellent. Set course. For the vegan colonies, It's time they learned what real power looks like. For 30 years, human patrol ships had stopped Corvin expansion. Every time the Empire tried to conquer new worlds, human vessels appeared to drive them back. The humans had been strong, smart, and completely unwilling to let the Corvins hurt innocent people. But now the humans were gone. The shipping lanes were empty. The border stations were abandoned. 3 Federation worlds had already fallen to Corvin attack, and their populations had been enslaved or killed. Nothing stood between the Empire and total conquest of the Outer Sectors. On the Federation capital world of Prima, Counselor Zathera of the Mindari paced in her office. She was a tall, graceful being with silver skin and large purple eyes. The Mindari were known for their intelligence, but Zathera felt very stupid right now. Her desk was covered with reports, and everyone brought worse news. The Corvin Empire had conquered the Altair system. Pirate fleets were raiding trade routes that had been safe for decades. The Harvester swarms had been spotted near 3 different star systems, and no one had ships powerful enough to stop them. But the worst reports came from the economics department. The Galactic trade network was collapsing. Human shipping companies had handled almost half of all cargo movement between worlds. When they left, thousands of trade routes simply stopped working. Zathera picked up a datapad showing the latest numbers. Food shipments to core worlds were down 60%. Medical supplies were running low on dozens of planets. Some colonies were already talking about leaving the Federation to find their own solutions. She activated her communication system and tried to contact the human embassy. The screen showed only an empty office. Ambassador Lisa Carter and her entire staff had left 2 months ago. The building was now sealed and guarded by Federation security. Computer Zathera said, "Locate any human diplomatic personnel in Federation space." "No human diplomatic personnel detected in Federation space," the computer replied. Zathera closed her eyes. The humans had not just left the Council. They had completely cut off all contact with the Federation. No trade, no diplomacy, no communication. At all in the Proxima system, Captain Maria Santos watched her science ship. The UES Discovery approached the research station where she had worked for 5 years. The station was a joint project between humans and Altarians. Studying new forms of faster-than-light travel, Maria had received the recall order like every other human captain. She could not just abandon her research team. Dr. Ben Cooper, her chief scientist, had been working with Altarian researchers for 3 years. They were close to a major breakthrough. Captain Dr. Cooper said as he joined her on the bridge, "The Altarians are begging us to stay. They say the research will fail without human involvement." Maria nodded. She had expected this. Human scientists were known throughout the galaxy for their creative thinking and willingness to try new approaches. Other species were often more careful and traditional in their research methods. "What about our orders?" asked Lieutenant Pete Davis, her navigation officer. "We complete the evacuation first," Maria said. "We're not leaving our people behind, even if it means facing a court-martial later." The Discovery docked with the research station, and Maria walked through corridors she knew well. The station buzzed with activity as human researchers packed their equipment and prepared to leave. Some of them had tears in their eyes. This place had been their life's work. Dr. Kelvin, the lead Altarian scientist, approached Maria in the main lab. He was tall and thin with blue-green skin and 4 arms. His people were brilliant researchers, but they needed human creativity to solve the hardest problems. Captain Santos Kelvin said in his musical voice, "Please reconsider. We are so close to completing the project. It's just a few more months." Maria shook her head. "I'm sorry, Kelvin. The orders are clear. All humans must return to human space immediately." "But why?" Kelvin asked. "What did we do wrong?" "What? We have always treated humans with respect." Maria looked around the lab at the mixed teams of human and Altarian scientists working together. These people had no hatred between them. They were friends and colleagues who had spent years building something amazing together. "You did nothing wrong," Maria said quietly. "But your government voted with the others. They agreed that humans could not be trusted with military power. Now they have to live with that decision." The evacuation took 2 days. Human researchers from 12 different projects packed their work and prepared to leave. Some Altarian scientists begged to come with them, but Federation law forbade it. The species were not allowed to emigrate to human space without special permission. As the Discovery prepared to depart, Maria received a priority message from Admiral Morrison. The text was simple but clear. All human vessels must return to human space within 7 days. No exceptions. No delays. Maria gave the order to leave, and the Discovery jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, the research station grew dark as the remaining Altarian scientists realized they could not continue the work alone. Back on Prima, the Federation Council held an emergency session. The chamber was only half full. Many species had recalled their ambassadors to deal with crises in their own space. Others had simply stopped attending. Knowing the Council could no longer protect them from threats, High Counselor Vexstar stood at his usual place, but he looked different now. His proud bearing was gone, replaced by something that might have been worry. The reports from across Federation space painted a clear picture of disaster. The Corvin Empire has taken 5 systems, he announced to the chamber. Our remaining fleets are insufficient to stop their advance. We estimate they will reach the core worlds within 6 months. Murmurs of fear rippled through the assembled representatives. The core worlds were the heart of the Federation. They fell, everything would collapse. What about requesting aid from non-Federation species? Asked the Andromedon delegate. We have tried, Vexstar replied. Most species are either too weak to help or are dealing with their own problems. The Rigelian Consortium is fighting off pirate raids. The Centauri Republic is struggling with internal rebellions. Everyone who might have helped us is facing the same crisis we are. A long silence filled the chamber. Everyone knew what the real problem was, but no one wanted to say it out loud. They needed the humans back. But the humans were gone, and they had made it clear they would not return. The Federation had driven away their protectors, and now the galaxy was learning what it cost to survive without them. The lesson was more expensive than anyone had imagined. Admiral Tvorek of the Altarian Defense Force stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the Corvin fleet approach his homeworld. The enemy ships filled his tactical display like a swarm of angry insects. 50 heavy cruisers, dozens of fighters, and 3 massive dreadnoughts that could destroy cities with a single shot. His own fleet was much smaller. 8 cruisers, 20 fighters, and his flagship. It was not enough. It would never be enough. There, his tactical officer reported. The Corvin fleet will reach Altair Prime in 6 hours. Their lead ships are already targeting our orbital stations. Tvorek closed his large purple eyes. The Altarians had always been a peaceful people. They built beautiful cities, created amazing art, and made scientific discoveries that helped the entire galaxy. But they were not warriors. They had never needed to be, because the humans had always protected them. He remembered the last time. The Corvins had threatened Altair Prime. That was 8 years ago. Admiral Morrison himself had arrived with 12 human ships and faced down a Corvin fleet twice that size. The human admiral had been calm and confident, and the Corvins had backed down without a fight. But Admiral Morrison was gone now. The humans were gone. Sir, his communications officer said, we're receiving a surrender demand from the Corvin commander. Tvorek looked at the message on his screen. The Corvin text was simple. Surrender now, or watch your cities burn.
Ow.
The aliens had no interest in mercy or negotiation. They wanted conquest, and they wanted it fast. Open a channel, TVOAC ordered. All frequencies. Emergency priority. The communications officer looked confused. Sir, who are you calling? The Federation fleet is 3 days away, and they're already fighting Corvon forces in the Vega system. I'm not calling the Federation, Tvorek said. I'm calling for help from anyone who might be listening. He activated the transmitter and began to broadcast on every frequency his ship could reach. His message went out across dozens of star systems, hoping to find someone who might care about the fate of Altair Prime. This is Admiral Tvorek of the Altarian Defense Force. We are under attack by Corvin forces. Our world will fall within hours. We request immediate assistance from any vessel that can help us." He paused, then added words he had never thought he would say. "We know we have no right to ask, but if there are any human ships listening, we beg you to remember the friendship between our peoples. We are going to die here, but we wanted someone to know that we never forgot your kindness." The message ended, and Tvorok waited. He did not expect an answer. The humans had made it clear. They were done with Federation problems. But at least he had tried. Meanwhile, on the edge of human space, Captain Danny Mitchell sat in his command chair aboard the EU's Ranger. His ship was patrolling the border between human territory and the rest of the galaxy. For months, he had watched alien ships approach the border, only to turn away when they saw human patrol vessels. "Captain," his communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, called out. "I'm picking up a distress signal from Altair Prime. It's from Admiral Tvorok." Danny knew that name. He had fought alongside Tvorok during the Outer Rim campaigns. The Altarian Admiral was a good officer and a decent being. His people had always treated humans with respect, even when other species looked down on them. "Put it on speakers," Danny ordered. The bridge filled with Tvorok's voice, translated by the ship's computer. Danny's crew listened in silence as the alien admiral described the desperate situation on Altair Prime. When the message ended with Tvorok's personal plea to any human ships that might be listening, several crew members looked at their captain with hope in their eyes. "Sir," Lieutenant Kim said quietly, "the Altarians never voted against us in the Council. They always supported human positions." Danny nodded. He remembered that too. When other species had complained about human military actions, the Altarians had defended them. When trade disputes arose, the Altarians had sided with human merchants. They had been true friends. Captain, his tactical officer, Sergeant Roy Adams, spoke up. "We could reach Altair Prime in 4 hours if we pushed the engines hard." Danny looked around his bridge. Every face showed the same conflict he felt. Their orders were clear. Stay away from non-human conflicts. But these were not just any aliens. These were friends who had stood by humanity when it mattered. "Sir," Lieutenant Kim said, "I'm detecting more human ships in the area. The Youth Boston and the UES Phoenix are both within range of Altair Prime." Danny opened a secure channel to the other human ships. Captain Julie Roberts of the Boston and Captain Alex Turner of the Phoenix appeared on his screen. Both officers looked as conflicted as Danny felt. "You heard the message?" Danny asked. "We heard it," Julie replied. "The Altarians are good people. They don't deserve what's happening to them. But our orders are clear," Alex added. "No engagement with non-human forces. If we help them, we could face court-martial." Danny thought about Admiral Morrison's orders. The Admiral had been clear. Humanity was done fighting other people's wars. But was this really someone else's war? The Altarians had been humanity's allies for decades. They had shared research, trade, and friendship. "I'm going to help them," Danny decided. "Anyone who wants to follow me can. Anyone who wants to stick. 2 orders can stay here." Julie smiled. "I'm with you. Altarians saved my brother's life during the Rigel crisis. I owe them that much." Alex was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "Count me in. Some things are more important than orders." In another part of the galaxy, on the peaceful world of Kellera, Elder Vashti stood in the ruins of what had once been a beautiful city. The harvester swarms had arrived 3 days ago. They were consuming everything in their path. The harvesters were not truly alive. They were machines created by some long-dead race, programmed to consume all biological matter and convert it into more machines. They had appeared at the edge of the galaxy years ago. They had been slowly working their way toward the core worlds. The Federation had tried to stop them many times, but conventional weapons barely slowed them down. Only the humans had found a way to fight them effectively. Human ships carried special weapons that could disrupt the harvester technology, but the humans were gone now. Vashti looked at the approaching swarm of metal creatures. They looked like giant insects made of silver and black metal. They moved in perfect coordination, stripping away trees, buildings, and anything else that contained useful materials. "Elder," one of her advisors said, "the last transport ship is ready to leave. We can still evacuate the remaining population." Vashti shook her head. There is nowhere to go. The harvesters will follow us to any world we choose. Without human protection, we are all doomed. She activated her personal communicator and began to record a message. Like Admiral Tvorek, she did not expect an answer, but she wanted someone to remember her people. This is Elder Vashti of the Kalari Collective. Our world is being consumed by the harvester swarms. It will be extinct within days. We send this message to any human vessel that might hear it. Her voice became emotional as she continued. We remember Commander Jake Morrison and his crew. They saved our world from raiders 5 years ago. They asked for nothing in return except our friendship. We gave that gladly, and we have never regretted it. She paused, watching the harvesters advance. We know you have left us because the galaxy did not appreciate your sacrifice. We understand your anger. But we wanted you to know that some of us never forgot your kindness. We die with gratitude in our hearts for the humans who once protected us. The message ended, and Vashti waited for the end to come. Around her, the last free Kolari prepared to face extinction. Across the galaxy, the Federation was learning what it meant to live without human protection. And the cost was higher than anyone had imagined. 1 year had passed since humanity left the Federation, and the galaxy looked completely different. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in his new office aboard the space station Liberty, looking out at the largest human fleet ever assembled. Hundreds of ships filled the space around Earth's newest orbital facility. These were not the ships of a Federation member following orders from alien politicians. These were the ships of an independent human nation. A soft chime indicated someone was at his door. Come in, Jake called. His aide, Commander Susan Walsh, entered with a worried expression. Sir, we have a priority visitor. High Counselor Vexstar of the Zephyrians is requesting an immediate meeting. Jake raised his eyebrows. Vexstar was the same alien who had led the effort to remove human voting rights from the Federation. Now he was here, in human space, asking for help. Show him in, Jake said. Vexstar entered the office. But he looked very different from the proud figure Jake remembered from the council chambers. The Zephyrian's blue skin was pale, and his elegant robes were wrinkled and dirty. He moved like someone who had not slept in days. Admiral Morrison, Vexstar said, his voice much quieter than before. Thank you for seeing me. Jake did not invite him to sit down. What do you want, Vexstar? The alien leader looked uncomfortable. The Federation is dying, Admiral. Half our worlds have been conquered or destroyed. The Corvin Empire controls everything from the Outer Rim to the Beta Sector. The Harvester swarms have consumed 12 entire star systems. We estimate we have less than 6 months before total collapse. Jake listened without expression. And this is my problem how? Vexstar stepped forward, his large eyes showing something Jake had never seen before. Desperation. We were wrong. We made a terrible mistake when we questioned human loyalty. Need your help. Our help, Jake said slowly. The same help you said was too aggressive. The same military force you said could not be trusted. Please, Vexstar said, and Jake realized the alien was begging. We will give you anything you want. Full voting rights, increased representation, control of military operations. Name your price. Jake walked to his window and looked out at the human fleet. Many of these ships bore scars from battles fought to protect Federation worlds. Many of the crews had lost friends and family defending people who ultimately turned against them. My price, Jake said, is that you leave. Immediately, and never. Come back to human space. Vexstar's face showed shock, but the galaxy will fall into chaos without Federation leadership. Billions will die. Then you should have thought of that before you kicked us out, Jake replied coldly. After Vexstar left, Jake walked to his communication center. He had been waiting for this moment for months. He opened a secure channel to all human fleet commanders. This is Admiral Morrison. I am announcing the formation of the Terran Concordat, a new alliance based on mutual respect and fair cooperation. Any species that wishes to join us as equals will be welcome. Any species that wants us to be their servants will be turned away. On the colony world of New Geneva, Governor Helen Martinez was having a much better day than Vexstar. Her office was filled with alien ambassadors, But these were very different from Federation representatives. These aliens came with respect and genuine offers of friendship. Ambassador Kelleth of the Kalari sat across from Helen's desk. The silver-skinned alien looked much healthier than the last reports Helen had seen from Kalari space. Governor Martinez Kelleth said, "Elder Vashti has authorized me to request full membership in the Terran Concordat. We offer our loyalty, our friendship, and our complete trust in human leadership." Helen smiled. The Kalari had been among the first to contact human colonies after the Federation withdrawal. They had not come with demands or conditions. They had simply asked for friendship and offered everything they had in return. "We would be honored to have the Kalari as our allies," Helen replied, "but not as our servants. In the Concordat, all species are equal partners. That is why we want to join you," Kelleth said. "Humans treat other species as friends, not subjects." Through her office window, Helen could see Kalari ships working alongside human vessels to build a new trade station. The cooperation was voluntary and profitable for everyone involved. It was everything the Federation had claimed to be, but never actually was. Captain Maria Santos stood on the bridge of her ship, the UES Discovery, but she was no longer wearing a military uniform. After helping to evacuate human researchers from Federation space, she had faced a court-martial as expected. But Admiral Morrison had been lenient. Instead of prison, she had been assigned to lead the Concordat's new exploration program. Captain. Her science officer, Dr. Ben Cooper, called out, "We're receiving a signal from the fourth planet. Looks like intelligent life." Maria looked at the tactical display. They were in the Kepler system, far beyond Federation space. For months, human exploration fleets had been pushing into unexplored regions, making contact with dozens of new species. "Any signs of hostility?" Maria asked. "No, ma'am. They're transmitting mathematical sequences. Classic first contact protocol." Maria smiled. This was what exploration should be like. Not expanding an empire or serving political masters, but simply meeting new friends and learning about the universe. "Open a channel. Say hello." On Earth, President Paul Henderson stood before a joint session of Congress, preparing to address the nation and the galaxy. The chamber was packed with representatives from human colonies and several alien species that had joined the Concordat. "Fellow humans," Paul began, 1 year ago, "we were cast out of the Galactic Federation for the crime of being too effective at protecting innocent people. Today, I am proud to announce that humanity has not only survived, but thrived." The chamber erupted in applause. Paul waited for quiet before continuing. "The Terran Concordat now includes 12 species across 47 star systems. Our trade networks reach into unexplored regions of the galaxy. Our exploration fleets have made contact with 18 new civilizations, all of whom have chosen to work with us rather than against us." He paused, his voice becoming more serious. "We have also received desperate pleas for help from the Federation that expelled us. Species that once called us aggressive now beg for our protection. Leaders who questioned our judgment now ask us to save their worlds." The chamber became very quiet. Everyone knew what was coming next. "Our answer is simple. We will consider individual defense contracts with any species that demonstrates genuine respect and offers fair compensation. We will not return to the Federation. We will not resume our role as unpaid guardians of ungrateful worlds. But we will not abandon good people simply because their governments made bad choices." As Paul spoke, Admiral Tvorak sat in his rebuilt command center on Altair Prime. His world had been saved by Captain Danny Mitchell and 2 other human ships that had disobeyed orders to help their former allies. The 3 human captains had faced discipline for their actions, but Admiral Morrison had quietly commended them for showing the best of human values. Altair Prime was now an associate member of the Terran Concordat. They paid human ships to patrol their space and protect their trade routes. It was a fair arrangement that benefited everyone involved. Elder Vashti was also listening to President Henderson's speech from her rebuilt city on Kalara. Her people had been saved by a Concordat rescue fleet just days before the harvester swarms would have destroyed them completely. Now they lived on a new world provided by human colonies, working as partners in scientific research. The Federation still existed, but it was a shadow of its former self. Dozens of species had left to join other alliances or become independent. The remaining worlds struggled with constant threats they could no longer handle alone. Some Federation species had swallowed their pride and signed individual contracts with human forces. These arrangements worked well, but they were based on business relationships rather than political control. The humans would protect these worlds, but only as long as they were treated with respect and paid fairly for their services. The galaxy had learned a harsh lesson about taking loyalty for granted. Humanity had moved on to build something better than what they had lost. The Federation's betrayal had not destroyed human civilization. It had freed humanity to reach their true potential. As President Henderson finished his speech, reports came in from across Concordat space. New colonies were being established in previously unexplored systems. First contact with another peaceful species had been successful. Trade agreements with independent worlds were bringing prosperity to everyone involved. The galaxy had indeed shaken when humans abandoned the Council. But from that shaking had come something stronger, fairer, and more hopeful than what came before. Humanity had learned that sometimes the best response to rejection was not revenge, but building something so much better that the ones who rejected you would spend the rest of their lives regretting their choice.